Issues with Cartoons, the show where we dissect animated programs and the comic books that inspire them. My name is Carl.
And I am Kyle.
And today we'll be talking about Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Episode 12, Gamma World, Part 1. I've been doing a first watch through of the series. Kyle's a veteran. He's seen it quite a few times.
I've been here before.
And we're going to talk about this, our second two-parter here.
Yeah.
With starting off with Cap and Black Panther.
Yeah, so this is written by Josh Fine and Chris Yost, directed by Michael Ryan, who I think has directed, at least one other episode before. And notable that Gamma World, obviously this is a very Hulk world-centric two-parter, and Josh Fine and Chris Yost are writing this episode. They had previously written the Breakout two-parter. Josh Fine and Chris Yost, the executive producer and story editor, respectively, heavily involved in the production of the show. And also noted, as we've discussed before on this podcast, this cartoon show that we were watching originally began as a Hulk project.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining that this may have been a spillover from that production era of the show.
It definitely is. And I was thinking about our coverage of that, and I think episode 1 we talk a lot about that, how you were saying Chris Yost originally designed this Avengers show to be focused around the Hulk. And there is a ton of Hulk characters here, which we're going to talk all about. We have the leader, Absorbing Man, Zax. You know, it's littered with Hulk characters, this episode, and I really enjoyed it for that. This is one of my favorite episodes so far.
Man,
yeah, I really like this one.
And as you say, though, we open with Cap on his motorcycle with the Ultimates helmet, and Black Panther in his first go around as an Avenger. His first outing as an Avenger, and they're chasing Hawkeye.
Don't forget about that bomber jacket Cap's wearing.
Oh, dude.
He's got the 90s, bomber jacket, too.
Contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com. Send me a link to whatever Etsy store is selling a Avengers bomber jacket.
Hook Kyle up.
Give me a bomber jacket with an Avengers A on it. Or just a patch, and I'll find a bomber jacket somewhere.
So they're chasing Hawkeye.
Yeah, so this is a obviously a direct tie-in to the Breakout premise that we are covering as we're following through the show. Hawkeye is the misunderstood. He's been framed, as we covered in other episodes, and they're trying to get him. And very elusive, this Hawkeye. They can't seem to catch him.
No, in fact, he gets away, and part of that is because of the SHIELD spaceship. The SHIELD hovercraft. SHIELD UFO appears, and they look up at it, and then a moment later, Hawkeye's gone, and Cap's like, you SHIELD.
Yeah.
Darn you, SHIELD.
Yeah, definitely kind of interrupting everything.
But that introduces us to our main plot.
It does, and it also reintroduces us to Clay Quartermain, who we have seen in the show before. I think it's Troy Baker who voices him. But Clay Quartermain, big character in S.H.I.E.L.D., featured heavily in, certainly in Kirby and Steranko's tenure on S.H.I.E.L.D., maybe just Steranko. Steranko might have created Quartermain. But Quartermain has ties in the comics to the Hulkbuster unit. So fitting that he is serving a similar role here, and he comes and asking the Avengers for help, and that sends us into the intro. And in our intro lineup, Black Panther is introduced into our little cartoon corner box of the lineup of Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Giant Man, Wasp, and now with the addition of Black Panther. So our roster is growing.
It's cool. I like, we've talked about this before, but I like that the intros change as the Avengers roster changes. It's a nice little touch, and those little things go a long way.
Well, and one of the best parts about Avengers comics, like the big staple in Avengers comics, is the lineup change.
Right.
Like they would get whole issues devoted to. I remember my first Avengers lineup change issue. It was issue 27 of the Bluesky Perez run, because I came to that run a little late, so I didn't read Avengers issue 4 until later. But it's exciting, and it's exciting to see shakeups and changes, and this is another example of them kind of adding to the lineup, and the group is growing. Interesting to note that Thor is back from wherever he was last episode. But now Hank is gone, so we can't ever seem to have everybody together.
Hank stays in Wakanda to study the vibranium.
Yeah.
Which fits his character.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and that's how we met him. We met him in this show when he was studying vibranium, and so
Jan makes a crack that the gamma radiation is much more interesting to study, and kind of throws Hank under the bus, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I do gotta say though, again, I love their relationship, and they are she is very playful with him.
She's more independent than she is than 616. And 616, the early appearances we've read in the 60s, Tales To Astonish, 44, she's just pining over Hank.
Yeah.
Like the whole time. And she doesn't have a lot of depth. And here she's a team player. She's the humor. She has a lot. She offers a lot more to the lineup.
She has the poor misfortune of being a female character created by Stan Lee in the 1960s. And so
brutal.
Later, sorry, but like, tell me I'm wrong.
Lee Lieberman's yelling at you.
Yeah, well, it's okay. Contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com. And I'm just saying, you can to the attention to me. But I will just say that Jan does get other writers who are maybe a little more understanding or thoughtful for female characters and giving her agency and giving her
that's all I want to say, that it's written a lot better than this original
and certainly this, but I do love this version of
I do too. I can see why you like it.
Yeah. And Doc Samson appears.
Yes, Dr. Leonard Samson appears.
And we've seen him before, I should say, but now we're seeing him with like the red shirt and the yellow lightning bolt and the green hair.
Yeah, he was transformed during the breakout, and just some facts
about
Dr. Samson here. We have Incredible Hulk Volume 2, number 141, July 1971 is Doc Samson's first appearance. He's created by Roy Thomas, who we talked about a good bit on our last episode. Check our coverage there if you want to know more about Roy. Herb Trimpe was the artist as well.
Co-creator of Wolverine, Herb Trimpe.
Yeah, and then we have Ty Burrell portrayed the character in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film.
Modern Family's own.
I want to throw
Ty
that in
Burrell.
there. We talk about Ang Lee, we talk about Edward Norton. We're talking about all the different Hulks.
This might not be in your notes. Did Leonard Samson show up in the Ang Lee film at all? Or was he
no.
Just
I don't think so. Film? And just the Edward Norton 2008 film.
Okay, I didn't expect him to be in, because I won't say obscure, because within the Hulk world he's pretty prominent. But I don't know how familiar general audiences are with Dr. Leonard Samson.
Doc Samson, he's a fun character. He's definitely he's very notable for his appearance. I feel like even if you didn't know the character's name, you'd recognize him amongst some Hulk characters, maybe.
Yeah. My interesting thing about Doc Samson, obviously, last name Samson, and they just kind of took that name and ran with it, and they tied his strength in with his hair, because they were tying him into the myth of Samson, and the long-haired biblical figure or figure from the Old Testament whose strength is tied into the length of his hair. And I also remember about him and he's not portrayed this way here, at least not yet, but in the books he's a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and I remember him popping up in things like X Factor as like the Shrink, the superhero Shrink. He was the one who...
I remember that too.
And so, and I remember X Factor specifically because of that famous Quicksilver scene, but I think there were probably some other appearances where he crops up as, well, certainly in Peter David's Hulk run.
He's prominent
as the psychiatrist who treats Dr. Banner. But, that was my context with him. But he goes all the way back to the 70s then.
Yeah.
So what issue did you say again?
141.
141.
Okay. Hulk Volume 2. I want to specify.
Well, and interesting that you point that out, because we are going to talk about a Hulk comic on the second part of the show. But right. So Incredible Hulk, we covered Volume 1, Issue 1, the first appearance of the Incredible Hulk. That only lasted, I think, half a dozen issues.
Yeah,
it did not last very long. Then he migrated to become basically a revolving guest star in Fantastic Four books and in Spider-Man books and stuff like that.
They kept him around.
And then of course he features in the Avengers comics, and then he ends up becoming an antagonist to Giant Man and Wasp in Tales To Astonish, and then he becomes a co-feature in his own stories in Tales To Astonish, and then he gets his own book again once his popularity sort of ramps up later in Volume 2. So he's one of the first Marvel characters to get a Volume 2 #1 issue.
When does the Incredible Hulk TV show come out? Because 1971. Does that coincide with the TV show?
I'm going to say the TV show
was later.
I'm going to say later. I want to say later on either for some reason the dates 1977 and 1981 are ringing in for me. I don't know which one it is, but it was late 70s, early 80s. The Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno show, where his probably peak popularity of the Hulk was at that time. At least, in classic comic book history terms. Although, I don't know, because the Hulk, I remember maybe it was in that...
I got it right here. Incredible
great.
Hulk, Bill Bixby, 5 seasons, 1977.
I was right, 77.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Good on that.
Did it end in 1981? Is that why I had that thought? No, you said 5 seasons.
Yeah, 5 seasons, so maybe 83 it ends.
Yeah, 82 or 83.
When the movies came out. Interesting.
Yeah,
that's the first time Daredevil and Thor appear in live action.
That's right. In that
TV series.
I've never seen those, but I would love to watch them. Maybe we should cover those.
Maybe Patreon.
Maybe a Patreon. Oh, wait, we don't have a Patreon yet, but we will someday.
Someday.
Yeah, cool.
I want to drop one little thing about Roy Thomas said about creating a character of Doc Samson.
Oh, tell me.
It was modeled after this character called Captain Tootsie, who would appear in comic strips and ads in the 1940s, designed by Fawcett Publications. Captain Marvel co-creator C.C. Beck added the lightning bolt and the boots, that would be associated with the character. The lightning bolt on a shirt was inspired by Shazam.
To Captain Tootsie or to Doc Samson?
To Doc Samson.
So he did the lightning bolt on Doc Samson?
No, it was inspired by him. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just sort that out. Yeah, so the lightning bolt and the boots were inspired by Captain Marvel, Shazam.
Got it.
And so that's kind of, Thomas was inspired by this character, Captain Tootsie. So if you look up Captain Tootsie, it looks like Doc Samson.
Captain Tootsie. I've never heard of Captain Tootsie. I love that there is a strong man named Captain Tootsie.
C.C. Beck, notable for creating Shazam and Spy Smasher.
Yeah. Great artist. Great artist, C.C. Beck. Classic Golden Age artist.
Shazam's with us to this day. I mean, Shazam just had a film franchise.
I love Captain Marvel Shazam. I love that whole...
Yeah, it's a great
premise.
character.
It's a great concept for a superhero. Still think Shazam is a terrible superhero name. Great wizard name. Awful superhero name.
Point all your concerns to Kyle. Issues with Cartoons.
Contact at Issues with... I'm going to get a lot of mail. And that's okay.
Just for this episode, too.
You know what? Actually, better yet, put it as a comment under this episode. Let's get some engagement. I don't care. Any bad press is good press, Carl.
How dare you say that about C.C. Beck?
No, C.C. Beck is great. I love C.C. Beck. I'm saying that when they changed his name to Shazam, it was a mistake. As they go, we cut away from this whole scene, though.
Samson shows up. There's a computer briefing about Abomination. They mention Abomination's military background.
I like that. Yeah,
which I thought was cool.
Yeah, good time. Again, putting us in the timeline of... This was made after the Incredible Hulk movie, where we got to see Emil Blonsky become the Abomination.
And just something on my soapbox here. I do have a note. This show relies a lot on computer bios and little scenes with computer screens.
Lots
just watching it for the first time. Yeah. It's I think it's almost every episode the Avengers look at a computer screen and they're like, all right, this is what we got to do. I wish they switched that up a little bit, but just a small little nitpick.
I take your criticism. Yeah, that's
every
true.
episode.
Yeah, that's true.
It's literally
and you got to figure they have 74 supervillains. They have to kind of give you
a lot
of
it's because of that.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not saying that's a good excuse. I'm just saying that's probably the excuse that they would give you. So what we do see is that
The prison. The gamma shield is around the cube.
And what this shield is doing is mutating anyone inside of it.
Right.
And so we now have our setup. There's this prison that has experienced a breakout. There are inmates inside who have captured some guards, and they have released a gamma emitter that is mutating anyone within its field of orbit, and the orbit is expanding.
Yeah, and they're going to go inside of the cube, essentially have a mission inside of the cube, and destroy the gamma generator. And the cube is small, right? It's the cube's...
The cube building?
Yeah.
I mean, right? I don't know. When you say small...
Was it pin particles, or was that another
No,
prison?
that's the big house.
That's the big house. I'm mixing them up.
Nope,
That's
okay. How could you get them confused?
There's only 4 super prisons. There's the vault.
Prison?
There's the cube. There was quite a few. Anyway, yeah, they're going to go inside and destroy the gamma generator. We're also introduced to the leader via computer screen.
That's true.
We get our background on the leader. He's inside this gamma prison with Absorbing Man, Zax, and they're all inside.
Yeah. But we are cutting kind of between this scene and another scene where Black Widow is meeting with Hydra and Hawkeye is tailing her. So we're not leaving Hawkeye. We saw Hawkeye in the opener. And he's not just there for the opener. We see him throughout this episode in a role that will have some ramifications later, where he's kind of following the Widow.
Yeah, this is the reemergence of Black Widow from what we saw her introduction.
And worth noting that we first met Hawkeye and Black Widow in the Hulk episode. In the Hulk minisodes. So episode 3, Hulk versus the World, that's where we meet Hawkeye and Black Widow. So fitting that the Gamma World 2-parter is where we bring Hawkeye and Black Widow back.
Black Widow, a.k.a. Natasha Romanoff, created by Stan Lee, Don Rico, and Don Heck. Tales of Suspense number 52, 1964. As a hero of the Avengers in issue 30, and in 1966... her primary design that we see, the famous one with the black suit, comes across in Amazing Spider-Man number 86.
Oh, was it a Spider-Man comic that she got that design?
Yes.
Who drew that? Do you know? Did you look
I
it up?
Unfortunately don't have that. I do have, it's Amazing Spider-Man 86.
86.
So.
Would that have been Romita? I wonder if that would have been Romita. It was probably either Romita or like, would that have been Friedrich? Was it Mike Friedrich? You're probably more familiar with Spider-Man history than I am. I feel like that might have been because, well, I don't know. Because I don't think... It does kind of strike me as like a Wally Wood-esque design, but I don't think it would have been a Wally Wood. I think it would have been...
This issue is spiked in value dramatically.
Oh, has it? Are you looking it up?
Issue. It's in the 80s. Just a raw copy.
Really?
Of it, yeah. So... Let's see, writer's pencil. You were right, John Romita Sr.
John Romita Sr., baby.
Stan Lee wrote it with Jim Mooney. Sam Rosen did the lettering, and
I bet
there was Stan Lee.
I bet John Romita drew a really good Black Widow. I bet he drew a really good Black Widow. He was a good and John Romita. We've talked about John Romita before, but he has his history was in like romance comics and like adventure comics and stuff. So I bet he drew a really good Black Widow. I didn't know that he did that first black suit design. That's really cool to know. But anyway, so
yeah, we cut back
throughout the episode. We'll kind of check back in with Hawkeye and Black Widow. But
right, we get the appearance of a significant Hydra member as well.
Who?
Madam Hydra.
Oh,
shows up because yes.
Oh my goodness!
Because Black Widow is meeting.
I actually have a note about this.
Madam Hydra to give her Hulk's blood.
In the credits, they list her as Madam Viper. But yes, and she's voiced by Vanessa Marshall, who is also the voice of Black Widow.
Viper would show up in the Wolverine comics sometimes. That's why I'm familiar with
I'm familiar with Viper because she debuted in the Jim Steranko Captain America issues.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So Jim Steranko we've covered on the show before when we talked about Nick Fury.
Well, we talked about him for a bit.
And Madam Hydra, so... Jim Steranko, we talked about how he's like the Jimi Hendrix of comics, or he's like the Orson Welles of comics. He had a very short output. There was small output relative to other giants in the field in the history of comics. Mm-hmm. But as that output is monumentally important.
It's influential.
Very influential.
Like, a lot of artists are influenced by Jimi Hendrix. That's why I make that comparison.
Yeah, exactly. And same with Orson Welles. So Jim Steranko had a very small run on Captain America. But it was... I mean, Ed Brubaker cites those 3 or 4 issues of Captain America as a big inspiration for his celebrated run on the character. But Madame Hydra was Captain America 113 in 1968. And there we go. She was introduced as Madame Hydra, was renamed Viper later for probably a story reason, like
maybe for action figures.
Maybe.
When Toy Biz got it, we gotta sell these cards.
Where the heck are the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes action figures? Why don't those exist? No wonder the show got canceled. Give me some action figures.
I mean, you're making a whole show about the Avengers. You think could be action
with a
figures.
Ton of very strong character designs. You didn't have any action figures. I can't.
The toy line makes itself.
I mean, really, and maybe it exists, and I can't find it. But I'm looking for some Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes action figures. I want those on my shelf. Those would be the best looking ones on my shelf. Anyway, cool. Yeah, you're right. So we do get Madame Hydra, again voiced by the same voice as Black Widow, and Hawkeye's kind of like taking out all these Hydra agents. Like, he's obviously very effective.
Yeah, he doesn't have any
just
problem.
Absolutely crushing them. But we're cutting back, and the Avengers have put on these radiation suits, again, lending itself to being toy variants. And Thor and Iron Man are the only ones who aren't wearing them.
Yeah, Thor is protected by, like, Asgardian magic or something.
I did make a note, some of these S.H.I.E.L.D. agents mutate, and some of the designs remind me of Scar and Harpy, which are 2 kind of Hulk characters. They're not meant to be Scar and Harpy. I'm just saying the designs reminded me of those characters.
That's interesting you say that, because I couldn't really find anything online about that. They said some of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents resemble the Hulk, but I could believe that Yost purposely designed them after some characters.
Yeah, I do too.
Some great Easter eggs throughout this show.
I do like that Thor calls out that they were so easy to beat, because while I was watching, I was like, man, they're really like taking out these gamma monsters easy. Like, I would never expect the Hulk to be taken out as quickly as they were taking out these characters. Mm-hmm. And Thor says that after I had that thought. He was like, they are a pale imitation of the Hulk. And obviously that's a function of perhaps the gamma emitter they're sending out, or maybe it's just the fact that they're very new to the gamma radiation or whatever. But I'm glad they called that out, because that was one thing that was bothering me. It's like, man, they are... For being gamma monsters that are supposed to be a big threat, I kind of expected them to put up more of a fight, but it's addressed in the story.
There's almost some horror movie vibes once they move in with the suit, which I thought was cool. They're like in these space suits walking through the gamma prison. And,
felt like Alien.
Yeah, people are getting dragged under the mist and stuff, and I appreciate the change in tone. And
I do too.
It wasn't jarring. It was well done. It was cool. And something crazy happens to Janet, Kyle, which I think you could elaborate on more than I can.
So let's talk first. You mentioned the mist. Let's talk about Vapor, Vector, X-Ray, and Ironclad. The UFOs show up. Characters created by Bill Mantlo,
X-Ray,
and Sal Buscema. Sal Buscema, the brother of John Buscema, who we covered last episode.
We talk a lot about John.
Bill Mantlo, co-creator of Rocket Raccoon, worth noting. With Mike Mignola, I think. Anyway, Incredible Hulk, Volume 2, Issue 254 is the UFOs. And I just always love that design. I don't know anything else about them, but they are Incredible Hulk villains. And then we also see Zax. I think they just call him Zax, but I like saying all the 3 Z's.
Zax.
Englehart and Herb Trimpe again. Herb Trimpe and now Englehart being the writer on Hulk 166 from 1973. Mm-hmm. But so they have some fights, and it's fun, and it's cool, and it's visually very interesting to watch because they're very visually dynamic designs.
Yeah, I like the UFOs.
Yeah, I do
they're
too.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, this was something we discussed right before we started recording, so I haven't researched issue numbers, creators, or anything. All I will say is, in this episode, Wasp gets gammaed and she's mutated into a wasp gamma monster. And it's horrifying to watch this. It reminds you of The Fly, and it's just terrifying. But it's just, as an Avengers reader, it's interesting to point out that in the 90s, there was a comic where Janet gets mutated into a wasp mutant monster. And I think that design stuck around for at least a little bit, long enough for them to make an action figure, because I distinctly remember having a mutant wasp action figure as a kid. We'll have to look up. It was in the 90s, back when they were trying to figure out ways to make gimmicky events happen to get people to buy the book.
Yeah, because also Avengers were dead last in popularity
in the early
Marvel
90s.
In the Marvel line. I mean, like, that's the thing people need to realize, is that, like,
they were throwing things at the wall and nothing was sticking.
Yeah, they were like, I could believe that they changed Wasp into a mutant, to boost sales. Yeah,
and you know, obviously it didn't last to the point where I think most people have kind of forgotten it happened. It was just interesting that they picked her to be the one that it happened to. I'm pulling up the design now. I almost don't want to show it to you because I want to read the comic, and I think maybe for next episode we will.
Yeah, we've talked about covering that.
But it is bizarre that it happened. So yeah, poor Janet. Who
it was shocking to me during the show. I was like, oh wow, they're going here with it.
And again, when you talk about that horror tone, that kind of body horror that we see in the Hulk transformations that happens to poor Janet.
Definitely.
And she just comes this. I mentioned The Fly because it does kind of remind you of like Cronenberg's The Fly or something, where she's just kind of this poor woman turned into this bug monster, and she is being controlled by the leader, which is really kind of the only other time we see him in the thick of the episode. We'll see him again at the end, but where he's kind of controlling her remotely with his thoughts, and she fights it off for a second, but she's kind of under his thrall. And in the middle of the fight, Black Panther just kind of pieces out, and he goes off and does his own thing, which is very Black Panther of him. He's got a plan in mind. He doesn't have time. He can't be bothered to tell you what the plan is. He knows what he has to do, and he's going to go do it. And he kind of leaves the Avengers to clean up everything. Mm-hmm. But we do kind of cut back in the middle of all this to Black Widow and Hawkeye. And I only want to just point this out, that the fight scene that they have is lit very well. It's very dynamic.
I love this whole scene. I have a note here. I love the texture on the crates, too.
Yeah.
Like, the whole way it was animated.
The whole design, the whole scene, because it's all on fire. And it's just an excuse. If you're an artist and you have a scene on fire, it's a great excuse for very dramatic, dark lighting with big shadows.
They take full advantage of that.
They really do. Yeah. And the fight choreography in this show, just at large, very strong. And I feel like a lot of the time, and that's the strongest part about the Bruce Timm shows, is the fight choreography. Anytime you watch a DCAU show, you're always going to get really strong choreography. And I know there's some spillover, like I think Dave Bullock and Boyd Kirkland are DCAU alumni, and I know they're storyboard artists on this show. But across the board, really good fights, and displayed very well in these hand-to-hand fights.
Eventually, Hawkeye is victorious, and instead of Hawkeye makes a crack that instead of taking Widow to S.H.I.E.L.D., he's going to take her to the Avengers.
Yep.
So, if I had to make a guess, she's going to join the team.
Yep. Well, and again, comic book history will tell you, Hawkeye and Black Widow had ties in the Tales of Suspense Iron Man stories, where she kind of manipulated him, where he was already sort of a misunderstood antagonist, and she uses him to her own ends, and they have a partnership, and then he redeems himself and becomes an Avenger, and then brings her along later in the books to also become redeemed and become a mainstay, to the point where they make her a founding Avenger in the MCU.
Yeah, as I said before, it's notable that she doesn't become a hero in the Avengers until Avengers 30 in 1966, 2 years after she appears. So she is a villain originally.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, as an Avengers fan from the 90s, from the late 90s and early 2000s, I never really considered her as prominent an Avenger as the MCU would later make her. I mean, obviously she's prominent now.
Oh, yeah, no, I always associate her more with Daredevil.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Sure, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I was aware of her being an important Avenger. She was a leader of the Avengers in the early 90s, and she was around, but it really took the MCU replacing Ant-Man and Wasp with Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Wasn't there a title Secret Avengers where she was prominent?
Yes.
She was like one of the main characters.
And that was Ed Brubaker again. And I think that might have been around the time of the Avengers film. I'm not sure on the timeline of that, but
it was because that was like 2010,
like 10, 11, 12-ish.
Yeah, I remember reading that book.
It was after Steve Rogers came back from the dead, so it was after that because he was his super soldier with head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and that was right around
Steve
when they killed Cap, right?
Yeah, it was right after they brought him back.
They killed Cap around that same era.
They killed him back.
Anyway.
So anyway, and we get him on a sky cycle also in this episode. But Thor fights the gamut up wrecking crew, and during this fight, which is a great fight, again, horrifying with these wrecking crew guys kind of hulked up. Black Panther, we finally find out why Black Panther ran off. He was going after the generator, and he slashes the generator to pieces, and we get this brief shot where as the generator explodes, he briefly gets gammaed and he turns into this cat monster.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to watch.
It's good transformation.
But then, it's destroyed, so everyone goes back to normal and everyone's fine. And so everyone's healthy. No one has any signs of radiation. Black Panther is skeptical, though, because they say, well, it looks like we saved the day. We stopped it. And he's like, did we, though? He's not so sure. And sure enough, we cut away, and in the desert, in a city, I think it might be, maybe it's Vegas, it doesn't really say, but it's a city in the desert. In the distance, the leader, Abomination, and Absorbing Man are staring at the city, and the leader, who's played by Jeffrey Combs with that excellent voice, says, well, that was a really good test run. Now for the real show to begin. And he sends up another dome above this city. And
it's Las Vegas.
Is it Las Vegas?
Yeah. They're out in the desert, and it's he's gonna do the same thing to Las Vegas, apparently.
And if I could just be a little pedantic for the leader, saying that was a successful test run. Was it a successful test run? They kind of foiled the whole thing. But anyway, I guess the mutations worked.
I thought this whole thing, I was just like, if they're going in to destroy the gamma generator, they could have just destroyed the building. Like, why did we even need to go?
But I guess they were also trying.
That point.
They were also trying to
we wanted to tear it apart
and stuff.
Yeah.
And, they maybe were trying to not hurt the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents inside. But again, I take your criticism. I like that you really love this episode, but you have some pretty big criticisms.
That was a pretty big side. I do have some facts about Abomination and Zags I want to drop real quick. Abomination's first appearance is in Tales To Astonish number 90.
Okay.
1967, created by Stan Lee and Gil Kane.
Gil Kane did the Hulk for a while.
And Tim Roth famously played the character in the MCU. Which, we know Tim Roth from Pulp Fiction.
Love Tim Roth.
And what a cast in Incredible Hulk. It would have been a different world if Edward Norton would have stuck around.
Imagine
it would have been 2012
so different with Ed Norton.
Would have been crazy.
I feel like, I don't think the trajectory would have been the same, where they kind of make Hulk like a comic relief character and kind of like a side character in like Thor Ragnarok and stuff. I don't know if Ed Norton would have played it that way.
We also have Absorbing Man, who's also a Carl Crusher Creel. Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and Absorbing Man premiered in Journey into Mystery, number 114, 1965.
You're not going to see any Hulk villains named Kyle, I don't think.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Carl, we might make one.
Marvel, call me. Crusher Creel... Was that also the name of the guy who fought Jack Murdock? I'd have to go back and look.
I'd have to look. I don't know at this point.
I don't know.
And then I also have one more note that Zax, I know we've moved on from Zax. He's not in this tease at the end. Zax first appeared in Hulk Volume 2, number 166 in 1973, was created by Steve Englehart and Herb Trimpe, who we mentioned before created Shazam.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought it was interesting that...
Created Doc Samson.
Yeah. Herb Trimpe created Doc Samson as well as Zax. So.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Zax I didn't have a lot of familiarity with. I think I'd seen him in like the old like official handbook.
He was in the video game. I remember he was in for the Ang Lee film. There was like a tie-in video game. And Zax was in it as electrical villain. Anyway.
Absorbing Man was in that film too.
Yes, he was. And he was Hulk's father.
Yeah. Not Crusher Creel though.
It was Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte was his dad.
Which I love that performance. You know, like, I think we talked about Ang Lee. Because, like, I have a soft spot for that film. We might cover that as later on.
Yeah, as like a bonus.
Yeah.
If you would like.
Kyle doesn't want to talk about it. I do.
I'm happy to talk about it. Listen, Jennifer Connelly is in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's automatically a great movie. Just by virtue of her being in it.
That's right.
And
God bless her.
I like Eric Bana also. He seems like a fine gentleman.
Yeah, God bless him too.
Yeah, I like him in Troy. He was great in Troy.
I bet he's seen Troy.
You haven't seen Troy? We will not cover Troy. But we...
Sorry.
No, it's
contact Issues with Cartoons if you want us to cover Troy.
We'll read the Iliad. That'll be like the Issues with Cartoons.
I have the Odyssey out there.
We could read the Odyssey. Well, listen though, Troy is an adaptation of the Iliad. It's not an adaptation of the Odyssey. We could also read the Odyssey.
We can incorporate it.
Yeah, it'll be a Patreon exclusive.
Right, anyway, Kyle, do you have any more thoughts on this episode?
No, I liked it. I liked it
too.
I think it's fun.
It's one of my favorite ones so far.
I like the tone shift. It's fun.
I think I said that about last week's episode though. Was
it's a good batch of episodes.
Yeah, like Black Panther episode was fun too, and this had a lot of great moments. I love seeing all the Hulk rogues. And like I said, it ties into what you said about Chris Yost. This was originally supposed to be a Hulk show.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of these Hulk designs on display.
It's just good world building. It's good storytelling. It's great characters, great designs, great fights. I mean, it really is it's a good example of what's fun about this show.
Yep. When we come back, we'll talk about some comics.
Great. Welcome back to Issues with Cartoons. We've covered the cartoons. Now we must cover the issues. And today's issue is Tales to Astonish, issue 62, and Tales to Astonish, issue 63. We are covering the Hulk portion, although Carl has informed me about the Giant Man portions of this story as well, and they do sound very fun, the Giant Man and Wasp stories. But today we're going to focus on issues 62 and 63 of Tales to Astonish, published in 1964. And these are the stories that introduce us to the leader, who is the antagonist of the cartoon that we just covered.
Yeah, Gamma World, it was very Hulk-centric. It was all about Hulk villains. So we're going to talk about one of the Hulk's greatest nemesis.
One of the biggest villains. This is the villain that featured heavily in the 90s Hulk cartoon that I watched as a kid.
Yeah, he does.
I don't think he's ever been... Well, nope. He was adapted in the Incredible Hulk film, played by Tim Blake Nelson. Sam Stearns.
That's right.
Now, he was not the leader in that film, although Captain America Brave New World is pending release, and...
supposedly the leader's in that.
Supposedly, Tim Blake Nelson is back. Which, good for him. I love Tim Blake Nelson.
Cool. More Hulk lore is welcome for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just if we could just do more Hulk anyway. Right. The title of this story is Enter the Chameleon, and, sensationally scripted by Stan Lee, and dramatically drawn by Steve Ditko. It's inked by George Bell and lovingly lettered by Sam Rosen.
Lovingly, he loves it.
Something I think that's interesting, the title of this is Enter the Chameleon. It's drawn by Steve Ditko, which is the original artist we all know from Amazing Spider-Man #1. It's interesting that Ditko is drawing the chameleon again in this appearance. I found that to be interesting.
You're referring to Amazing Spider-Man #1, which is the second issue of Spider-Man. But the chameleon was the antagonist of
Amazing
Spider-Man.
That's what I'm getting at.
And was that also called Enter the Chameleon? I would be interested to know.
I don't think so.
I'm glad you bring this up because I think what's fascinated me in our coverage of early Marvel, we've talked about this with Iron Man also, where Steve Ditko was kind of the designer of the yellow and gold look that we're so familiar with.
Yes.
We also talked about Steve Ditko with the Hulk, where he introduced anger as the mechanism that creates the Hulk. That catalyst, anger being the catalyst, was the brainchild of Steve Ditko, or at least Steve Ditko was the artist at the time. And I guess I only bring all these things up because Steve Ditko at Marvel generally, almost exclusively, is talked about as a Spider-Man artist and the co-creator of Spider-Man, and also of Doctor Strange, but I feel like we never hear much about his other contributions to early Marvel, and they were pretty significant.
This is a significant character.
Super significant. I mean, not only is the red and gold Iron Man the visual look of Iron Man for the majority of the character's existence, almost the one that everyone knows from the films, Hulk's anger is the thing that people know about Hulk. Like, you won't like me when I'm angry. And then here we have arguably Hulk's main antagonist outside of the Abomination and Thunderbolt Ross. The leader is a very significant character in Hulk lore. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how Steve Ditko doesn't get brought up as a bigger contribution to Marvel than just... And saying just Spider-Man sounds silly because it's a huge part of it, and so is Doctor Strange. But, like...
It was a huge part of Ditko's life, too. I mean, like, Ditko lived to draw these characters. I don't believe Ditko had children. You know?
Yeah,
like, so he was... I mean, these books were a huge part of his life, and I do feel like, to your point, that Steve Ditko should be mentioned in the same breath as a Jack Kirby.
Absolutely.
And stuff, and especially as the creator of Spider-Man.
And, you know, we talk about Jack Kirby so much, not only because of his talent, because his talent is unquestionable, but because of the body of work, the prolific body of work, the amount of ideas that man contributed to Marvel. And I guess I only mention all of this because I think it's interesting that Steve Ditko's contributions might be undersold. Mm-hmm. And maybe because he has to be, you know, stacked up next to a Jack Kirby. But, you know, the Hulk is no small character in Marvel's stable. And I feel like neither is Iron Man. And even though Ditko maybe didn't co-create those two characters, certainly his contributions were significant. So worth mentioning here. Alright.
So we open up this great splash page. Thunderbolt Ross has captured the Hulk, and I assume the previous issue.
That gives you the great green Goliath has finally been captured and bound with unbreakable chains.
Yeah, and it's almost like a Kirby device, like these chains the Hulk's in. I like it. I dig it. There's a tank in the background.
That's a great Hulk face he's got.
Okay, and then page 2, immediately we have our first appearance of the leader. He's creating like a cybernetic humanoid that reappears later in this issue. He's kind of experimenting in his lab. But the chameleon is also reporting to the leader.
I wonder if that's like a normal thing, that the chameleon and the leader have a connection, because I was never aware that was a thing. Worth noting that the leader, as we see him in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes show, and as we generally know him as the big-headed green guy, is not how he's presented on this first page where he appears. He's got a red mask on. He's kind of hiding his appearance from the world.
It's notable, too, that he has a human hand in this panel.
Oh, you're right. It's not green. Look at that.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a coloring error. It has to be a coloring error.
I think it'd be really interesting if this version continued with, like, he has a red mask and he's a mysterious character. I wonder if that was, like, the original intent, and then they changed it later as they made the comic.
Yeah. Interesting thought. Yeah.
I love this scene, though, of the chameleon, too, and he's just, like, in his apartment with all of his masks around him. I just was imagining that. It's so creepy. He's this serial killer spy.
Dude. The Chameleon is such a creepy character.
Yeah.
I get the heebie-jeebies about the Chameleon.
And he works really well in this story in the context of, like, he's a spy, he's infiltrating things. I think he works a lot better in this context than he does in, like, some of the Amazing Spider-Man comics I read growing up, where it's like Chameleon is related to Kraven, and we explore that relationship a lot more, and there was a lot more drama around that, and Harry passing away, and Chameleon being involved with conspiracies with that. I think keeping the Chameleon as a spy is infinitely more interesting.
I think the less you know about some of these characters, the better sometimes, and I think that's a good example. I think sometimes you can over-explain, and I think part of the appeal about the Chameleon is that he is trying to blend in, and he's he's using other people's identities, and I think that's more scary if you don't really know much about him and his identity. Like he is adapting and adopting your identity. Worth noting too, Captain America shows up in this, and
with Rick Jones.
I remember reading one of the early gifts that I got growing up was a copy of Marvel Comics Presents the Weapon X Barry Windsor Smith.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Story. And so Marvel Comics Presents obviously was an anthology, and it was just like chapter 9 of the Weapon X story. It wasn't the whole thing, but one of the stories in that collection or in that anthology was a Steve Ditko Captain America story.
Oh, that's super cool.
And I still remember reading that growing up, and it was I remember thinking it was really entertaining and really good.
Yeah.
I have no idea how it holds up now, but
I remember those stories being pretty good.
Yeah.
Barry Windsor Smith.
So it's cool that Steve Ditko gets to draw Captain America and Rick Jones here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we kind of move along here. They're discussing Bruce's identity, and we cut back to the Hulk in chains and stuff. And it kind of trails off with Rick Jones is off, Rick Jones is on a quest to go find the Hulk now, basically.
Yeah, Rick is kind of pulled between working with Captain America and working with and his friendship and loyalty to the Hulk.
And he doesn't want the Hulk to transform because then it'll reveal to everyone that he's Bruce. So there's some conflict there as well. We get some more of the Chameleon scheming. General Ross is he trying to execute the Hulk?
If you agree to take orders from me, I can set you free. So I think he's trying to...
Yeah, he's trying to recruit him. But he transforms into Banner and he shrinks. So, like, the device is holding the Hulk. Yeah, the device is holding the Hulk doesn't work. He becomes puny Banner, and he scoots off, and then he's reunited with Rick Jones, and they're hiding. They're playing hide and go seek from General Ross.
From all the MPs.
Basically. A little nice 9-panel grid on page 4.
Oh, very Ditko-y.
Yeah.
That's a classic Ditko's, the 9-panel grid.
And Hulk's face is good here. Ditko is different from Kirby. This isn't a Kirby comic at all.
No,
they're very
at all.
different. And I think Ditko, the biggest difference for me is he's like really good at drawing like the eerie, spooky stuff. And I think that's why those Spider-Man villains are so iconic. Like
1,000%.
And Electro and Kraven. They're so
That's
creepy.
why Spider-Man was so good.
Yeah.
Like why his rendition of Spider-Man was so set apart from other superheroes, and why Jack Kirby didn't get the job to draw Spider-Man is because Ditko gave it that kind of ick factor, that kind of creepy factor.
That's fun to point out for people. If you didn't know, there's an early design of Spider-Man that Jack Kirby did that was in the Marvel offices. You can Google that and look that up and check that out. There was an iteration that Kirby drew. There's even a version, I believe, of Amazing Fantasy 15 that Kirby drew.
That
might be the same drawing.
That sounds right.
But go look into that for some fun trivia.
Yeah, and Spider-Man, depending on who you believe, and I tend to believe Kirby, but Kirby and Simon developed a Spider-Man back when they were trying to do their own thing, and that ended up morphing into what became a character called the Fly, which ended up being folded into like the Archie comics superheroes like the Shield and Black Hood and all that stuff. But, Kirby had a larger footprint on Spider-Man than others would maybe let you believe, but it is interesting.
And another fun fact in the Fantastic Four Annual 1, I think I mentioned this in one of the previous episodes. Listen to them. Check it out.
You must.
There is a backup story where Jack Kirby draws Spider-Man's origin. In Fantastic Four Annual 1.
Yeah.
Just while we're talking about Kirby and Dick.
Yeah.
So
that would be a very interesting comparative study.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting.
Just want to bring that up while we're here.
We should bookmark that thought for later.
Yeah, so page 5 here, we have, Chameleon's after Banner for some Russian spy shenanigans. He wants America's secrets from one of the top atomic scientists. And so he's basically breaking into his lab and stuff. And, let's see. Hulk transforms to confront Chameleon, breaks through a wall.
I'm surprised there's not, and maybe it's just the economy of the page, but I'm surprised that we don't get a Ditko Hulk transformation. It's just kind of like panel 1 is...
It's coming.
Is Bruce, and then it's... Oh, is there one?
Oh, you mean like a transition?
Like there's not...
I don't think so.
I bet Ditko could do a pretty gnarly transformation sequence.
I do like this panel on page 6 where he's ripping his shirt open when he transformed. No puny ropes can hold me. He says, and even that panel of him smashing through the lab door, and Chameleon's like, how? He's
puny. The word puny is such like just a derogatory word. Like it's just like you just don't respect anyone you call puny. And I just love it.
Chameleon's like, stay back. This is a gamma grenade bomb I'm holding. If I drop it, we all die. So Chameleon's willing to blow himself up.
Yeah. With that magenta gamma bomb.
Hulk's afraid of the military. He's like, they mustn't shame me again.
Well, I love that face that you're down on that panel. Those like dark
6.
eyes. Yeah, really cool.
I do like that. It's like I said, it adds a horror level to it, and which would inspire things like Immortal Hulk, later where
it does kind of feel like a panel from like an EC comic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I also like this next panel on actually all these panels are very dynamic with Hulk jumping out of a window and jumping over a Jeep, and then Chameleon carrying is that
he takes this girl as a hostage.
Is that Betty?
Runs off with her. You're gonna bust my
Bruce
father.
Darling,
it is Betty.
Yep.
It's Betty Ross. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Betty Ross. He kidnaps her as a hostage, and it leads to this confrontation at an airport. Essentially, he throws Betty into this. It's a sci-fi vehicle.
So weird.
And fires it off down the
rocket
airport ramp.
Tesla.
Actually, I don't know if this is an airport. It's not. I just imagine that because of this long runaway.
Yeah.
But it's like a train on a cart, but he fires her off to distract Hulk to get away. Hulk's able to catch it with his super strength.
I really like Ditko's faces of Hulk. I think they're
great.
Really interesting interpretation. I really like it.
He doesn't draw him as bulky as Kirby, which is interesting. He's more of just a man.
And I feel like that's not Ditko's strong suit. Like doing like the big brawny characters isn't really something he does. Like he does kind of like the leaner, meaner looking characters.
Yeah, his anatomy's certainly not as good as like Buscema.
Yeah, but it's there.
Yeah, it's
still there.
Yeah, it's definitely there.
His storytelling is immaculate. He's really, really good storytelling.
This panel is crazy. Like at page 9,
I was just looking at this.
Lifts up the entire ground of this runaway for this sci-fi vehicle, and like it's ridiculous.
Wild.
It's wild. Yeah,
just wild.
It's wild.
The yellow and red though really pops. The coloring on those where he's jumping over the explosion really, really pops really well. And then you get a really cool silhouette on page 10 of him like hiding in the mist. Yeah,
that's a good silhouette. Wally Wood be proud.
Wally Wood is definitely proud. Has to be.
I love running jokes into the ground.
No, we're gonna keep running into the ground, all the way back out. It'll be great.
Puny jokes.
Puny jokes, puny silhouettes. Actually, that is a puny silhouette.
Yeah, so we get a little bit of wrap up with our cast of characters. We get Betty Ross and Thunderbolt Ross and Banner.
And she's starting to wonder, is there a connection between Bruce and the Hulk? If so, what on earth can it be?
Yeah, I don't know, Betty. You tell me.
Betty, how many possible connections could there be? The Gamma Scientist and the Gamma Monster? Come now.
So, we get a little follow-up with the leader. He's still experimenting on his humanoid experiment, which will become our antagonist.
Really kind of abstract rendering of this, too.
Yeah, it is. It's wild. Kind of drawn Kirby dots. I don't know.
Sort of.
Yeah.
It's those interesting, like in the kind of Doctor Strange Ditko scapes. It does give you kind of a thought of that with those lines and bubbles and swirls and things like that.
Do you think that Stan wrote Chameleon into the issue, or do you think Ditko drew Chameleon into the issue and Stan wrote that later?
Given what we know
about the Marvel method, yeah,
and given what we know about Ditko, I would hazard a guess to say that it was a Ditko choice.
I know. I find it too strange.
And I bet Ditko probably really liked
his own characters
like the Chameleon. Yeah. I would hazard a guess. Now, it's not like Stan didn't write the Chameleon. It was Stan's character too, in his own way. But I would bet, I don't know how much attention Stan Lee was paying to Tales to Astonish.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on this before we jump to the next one?
No, let's get going. Other than the pinup that Kirby does of the Hulk on the end of the book is very nice.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, Hulk's tearing down this wall.
Dare I say, incredible. Maybe even
astonishing. I see what you did there.
It might even be astonishing.
It's making me green with envy.
So green. Okay, Tales to Astonish 63, The Incredible Hulk, A Titan Rides the Train, introducing the leader and his indescribable humanoid. It's not necessarily introducing, because we're reintroducing.
Another fantastic Giant Man and Wasp story, too. If you have the time, check it out.
Yeah. I mean... should note too, we're not going to cover it, but Carl Burgos drew did he draw this one too? I wonder. Carl Burgos, the creator of the original Human Torch from the original Marvel Comics, published by Timely in 1939.
You would be correct. It is drawn by Carl Burgos.
So really cool that Carl Burgos gets some work in the Marvel Age. But we are here to discuss, we're still following the leader. Same creative team as the previous issue.
Now... his appearance has changed. His helmet is green.
Oh, yeah.
It's not red anymore. He's wearing some gloves, to conceal his hands. So, totally different appearance of the leader.
Speaks to your point, though, that maybe they were just kind of making a pivot. Maybe they just kind of made it up as they went. They were like, well, we have this leader character. Well, who is he? And then they had an idea that didn't quite jive with what they did before, but they just kind of reconfigured some things.
I think it's interesting. They could have gone in a totally different direction with this character, but... we have intellect versus Hulk's strength.
Brain versus brawn.
Yeah, this kind of classic trope.
The classic opposing forces. I just thought it was interesting that, and I didn't know anything about the leader's backstory other than he was obviously another gamma mutant. But he's like a unskilled laborer, as he describes himself. He's just working in this chemical research plant, and a freak accident with a gamma ray cylinder transforms him in a really very Ditko-y sequence on this very Ditko-y 9-panel grid.
Yeah. It's reminiscent of Hulk's transformation, though.
Sure,
like on purpose.
Even that panel of his face is very much like that panel we talked about in Incredible Hulk #1.
I was about to say, I like that. I like that there's, if we're going to do parallels, brain versus brawn, and they're both gamma radiated, they're both caused by radiation, why not have that callback panel?
And even, the well-educated, brilliant scientist, and then the presumably, lower educated... Well, he says he didn't even finish high school. The undereducated...
Yeah, he doesn't become educated until he becomes the leader.
The laborer and the scientist, so the thinker and the worker, kind of transpose into the leader and the Hulk. I think that's a really interesting device also.
I love this scene where he's in the library. He just like quits his job.
Yeah. My brain hungers.
Yeah, my brain hungers. He just quits his job and goes reads books.
It is
Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I don't know.
Well, hopefully your brain, doesn't grow so much that your head explodes. It's such a bizarre and also interesting too. In the comic, in the original comic, the bomb happens. Bruce transforms into Hulk, and it's a clear transformation, a distinct character of Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Here, though, Sam Stearns has a slow change into this green, large-headed man.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a gradual transition where he kind of keeps his faculties and he kind of keeps his personality. There's no distinction between Sam Stearns and the leader. Sam Stearns literally grows into the leader, and it's one figure. So again, another kind of interesting distinction. But I like it. I don't know how many other big-headed characters at this point. It's kind of a classic trope of like these hyper-intelligent beings having larger heads to accommodate the larger brain.
Yeah.
The leader is one of the first ones I think of. To the point now where whenever I see that trope, I'm like, oh, it's like the leader.
We get a little bit follow-up here with the chameleon once again, and a couple panels as well, after the leader's transformation in the mirror. And stuff.
We didn't mention this when we talked about the last issue, but I do want to say with the chameleon, that like false face mask, the white kind of mannequin mask that he has.
Yes.
I do infinitely prefer that over the white.
Oh, just
face
the white with no features.
I like the white with no features also, but like I was thinking about the Spider-Man animated series and how they portrayed the chameleon.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of got
purple jumpsuit.
That weird like jumpsuit with the shoulder pads and the white face with like the it almost looks like a Red Skull face with just in white, but where it's just like his face and that it mutates. I like the kind of
I like it's all masks.
I like the analog nature of it.
Yeah, I don't like when it's. I agree that it's like it's his belt. I think.
Yeah,
it is. His belt allows him to transform.
It's like basically mystiquing him, and I like kind of the premeditated nature of the chameleon when he has to like the artistry of making and crafting masks. It just seems way more devious and sinister.
It's way more interesting. I said this about the last issue. It's so much more interesting having him as a spy character.
Yeah.
He's like way more interesting.
Yeah. But anyway,
Major Talbot here is talking to Ross.
And the leader, or the chameleon rather, is undercover collecting information for the leader. The leader has his humanoid that he's going to send out.
Yes.
Mentally, with mental control.
Which is similar to his headpiece he's wearing in Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Oh, yeah,
it's kind of like the... it's just apparatus, his equipment that sits on his forehead that he's using to control the Wrecker. This humanoid being he's created. So he sends it out to this train, which becomes kind of our centerpiece of our fight for this story.
I like that shot on page 5 with the railway and the train. I think that's a really dynamic shot looking up from like the ravine.
There's some great angles at play here too.
Yeah. Really dynamic, really good.
Low to the ground and then way up.
Now here we get a little bit more transformation. Again, I love Ditko's use of the 9-panel grid. But that close up of Banner, and then he's getting anxious. He's getting anxious and a little worried that he's being locked into a tight spot. And then you get the shirt rip with a little hint of green, and then he bursts out into the Hulk. And then a really cool shot of him punching out the wall of the train. Worth noting, the only copy on that panel is the sound effect, which I feel like is rare in 60s
comics. I was
comics.
about to say, that's rare that Stan Lee didn't put his fingerprints on it.
I know, and you don't need anything. It's a really powerful, pardon the, I guess, play on words.
Can you imagine, like, the bottom panel, like without that caption and just the Hulk charging towards you, and then the wall gets punched. Good. That would be really good without the dialogue. Yeah, it would be really good.
And Ditko didn't need it. And he never really needs it. He's a visual storyteller. He's very, very good.
He's got the storytelling chops down.
Oh man, just the way he draws the Hulk leaping, like really good. I mean, again, this is the guy who made Spider-Man. Like it's very evident.
Yeah, Hulk's leaping around and doing everything.
Yeah, he's gonna go after this human. Yeah. Man, did the Hulk ever have like a theme song with lyrics to it?
I don't think the 90s show was orchestrated.
They never made a 60s cartoon.
You like smash, smash, smash.
That's an interesting thing. Like in the 60s,
Marvel, call me. I'll write it.
Hey, he could do it too.
Call me.
It's interesting that the Hulk. They never had a Hulk cartoon until the 90s, right? Like they even in the Marvel superhero hour, it was Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and Namor.
It's all about Lou Ferrigno, man, and that sad piano.
Oh, that sad piano. Yeah, featured on episode 3.
Yeah, episode
3 of Issues of Cartoons. So he's fighting this humanoid on the train, and again, I mean, I'm just blown away by this 9-panel grid stuff.
And the leader is controlling the humanoid from his headpiece still. So we get a little panel of that where like he's seeing what the wrecker is seeing.
Gosh, is that panel of the leader's face, is that a Ditko panel or what? I mean, that is a Ditko face.
It's disturbing.
So disturbing. So he's fighting this humanoid and it's just
nothing's working. The humanoid's elastic. And the Hulk's using all his strength, but nothing seems to be working.
This middle panel on page 7, it just looks like...
this is so impressive that this fight is on a train. Not to cut you off.
No, it's
impressive.
It's super impressive. It's a great set piece. Trains are hard to draw, but they're a great set piece. Just really exciting. Good physical action. That face of a Hulk in the middle of page 7 is just really, really good.
This is crazy. The way this is choreographed, it reminds me of that Spider-Man 2 train fight with Doc Ock.
Like, you can't help but compare
it's crazy.
Train fights to that scene.
It's crazy. Like this scene in page 8 where Hulk leaps over one section of the train to like meet the other section.
Yeah.
And stuff like it's crazy. It's a crazy. I would say this is worth reading just for this train fight.
It's a good fight.
It's insane.
It's a good fight.
Yeah.
The Hulk can't break out of the sponge-like grip, which I don't know what kind of a grip a sponge would have, but apparently it's more than the Hulk can handle. So he's basically trying to smother the Hulk, and ultimately the Hulk crashes this humanoid into is he crashing him into, it's blue, is that, no, he's crashing him into a rock. At first I thought he was skipping over water, but no, he's crashing him into a rock, and it that's what it took, I guess, because the screen blanks out on the leader, and he's lost control of the humanoid.
Yeah, it kills it. Yeah, he runs it on the ground, and then Hulk has to chase down this train with the nuclear device on it. It says, shakes itself loose. Hulk's able to grab the nuclear device, catch the train. So,
yeah, and then either Ross or Talbot, I can't tell from this panel, but someone finds him and he's like, "Banner, I might have known. All right, mister, you've gone too far this time. You're ordered to remain locked in that railroad car." And he's there with ripped pants and no shirt.
Yeah, you don't know that's the Hulk?
No one thought, hey, the Hulk was just here. Maybe that's the Hulk. Like, I don't know. But the modern telling of the Hulk, where everyone knows Hulk is Bruce and like he's a man on the run, makes a lot more sense to me. It's about as convoluted as Tony Stark having Iron Man as a bodyguard. Like, everyone should have made that connection.
There's a little bit of some Marvel drama here. You know, how I break free of the military without admitting I'm the Hulk.
Right.
You know, he's trying to preserve his identity a little bit. And then we get this last panel with the leader, and he's typical supervillain stuff, honestly. He's sitting here like, my brain will outwit the Hulk.
I must destroy him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And really good parallels, too, of them like kind of sitting almost facing each other in these two opposing panels.
Oh, at the end.
Yeah, just really nice.
What are your thoughts overall?
I mean, I'm just getting a kick out of seeing Ditko draw these other Marvel characters.
I think it's fun.
I really like it. And I love the Ditko Spider-Mans, and I love the Ditko Doctor Strange, like anyone.
Yeah.
I don't think as a fan of classic Marvel, I was really aware of how much more he did than just those two characters. And I think it's a shame that we only talk of him in Marvel in those two characters. Because it's worth visiting him drawing these other characters. It's exciting, it's entertaining, and it's different. Seeing the Hulk drawn by Ditko, when I'm so used to thinking of him as a Jack Kirby character, really surprised me. I want to check out more, honestly.
I would say for fans of action scenes, even if the Hulk wasn't in this at all, like this 10-page story, it's all it is worth reading just for this train sequence. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild that the imagination on display here in this train sequence.
And awesome. I will say, having watched Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes and then hearing Jeffrey Combs as the leader and then reading the leader, I did hear him as Jeffrey Combs. It was really nice. Yeah.
Any more thoughts on this?
No, other than Jeffrey Combs also voiced another Steve Ditko creation, The Question, in DC Animated Universe. So that's just one more parallel. But no, that's all I have, Carl. What do you have to plug?
www.carllucasdraws.com. You can purchase my graphic novel Shogun Bear and the House of Horrors, as well as some of my mini comics like Ramsey Tales and Captain Devil. Kyle, what do you have to plug?
Ramsey Tales, by the way, made me laugh out loud. I love that. I love that mini. You can go to kofi.com/kylewindle, KYLEWINDLE. There you can get Cornelius Armstrong Adventures and Antics, where I draw parts of a train, but God, they're hard. And you could also read my mini comics Thunderduck and Mad Science Rejects. More to come. You can also solicit me for commissions. You can do the same thing at Carl's site. Contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com to complain to me about all the things I said that upset you. And you can go to Twitter.com, where we are IssuesWCartoons, or Instagram, Issues with Cartoons. Follow us, subscribe, and comment on YouTube. Comment all the mean things you have to say about me. Or validate my opinions. I like that also.
We like all the discussion.
All the discussion is welcome. In all sincerity, we want to engage with you. We want to talk to you about this stuff. This is obviously the stuff that excites us. We hope it excites you too. We hope you're watching and reading and following along. But until we meet again, stay tuned for more next time, where we'll cover Gamma World Part 2.
Puny humans.